The playoffs are officially here, Vikings fans. It's been a magical season, and we got the New York Giants in the 3-6 matchup on Wild Card Weekend. And if you want the Vikings to beat the New York Giants, hit that subscribe button. If there's any game that you would subscribe to this channel, have it be this game and this video. If you want the Vikes to beat the Giants, it's backed by science. Go down there, hit that subscribe button for all Vikings news, rumors, and etc. And let's get into our Vikings-Giants preview right now. Welcome into Vikings Now. I am your host, Patrick Seatman. Thank you for joining us on our Vikings vs. Giants preview. Earlier today, the Vikings ended up beating the Chicago Bears, the final score of 29-13. Vikings handled business. They pulled the starters at halftime. We saw Nick Mullins get in there in the second half. But the Vikings handled business today, and the Giants actually kept it close, playing their second and third string guys against all of the Eagles' ones. They kept it close, but they dropped it 22-16. But the Vikings-Giants playoff matchup, we still don't know what time this game is going to be. We don't know what the over-under is going to be set at or who the favorite is going to be. Our host from Giants Now, he says he thinks it's going to be Vikings 3.5. I'm leaning more towards a pick'em right now. But that's just me. We still don't know when the game's going to be. Kind of a joke we've been saying back and forth is that I hope the game is not on the Monday night so we don't get the Kirk Cousins playoff Monday night primetime narrative going. But Vikings-Giants, it's locked in, the 3-6 matchup. And the Vikings' last 5 games. The Vikings are coming in here a little shaky, in my opinion. They lost Week 14 versus the Detroit Lions, 34-23. They had the historic comeback versus the Indianapolis Colts, winning that game 39-36 after being down 33-0 at half. And then they did already beat the New York Giants into a game that came down to a Greg Joseph 61-yard field goal. And then the most recent game where the Vikings played most of their starters was Week 17 a week ago, where they got blown out by the Green Bay Packers 41-17. But it was nice for them to get back on track, beat the Chicago Bears in Chicago, and really come out the gates and have quality possessions on offense, which they didn't at all versus the Green Bay Packers. But on the Giants side of things, Week 14, they lost to the Eagles 48-22, and then in a must-win game against the Commanders, they got it. They beat them 20-12. That pretty much locked them in to the NFL playoffs. And then Week 16, they're like against us. They were right there, losing 27-24. The Colts, they blew them out of the water 38-10. And then just this past, or today when you're seeing this, they battled with the Eagles ones, with the Giants playing their 2s and 3s all the way and only dropping it 22-16. But let me know who you guys got in this game. I better see 1,000 MINs in the comments section. Who do you guys got? You guys got the Vikings? Type MIN. You guys got the Giants? Type NYG. If this video gets 10,000 views, I want to see 10,000 MINs going in the comment section. But let me know who you guys got in this matchup, Vikings, Giants. Now if we're looking at the NFC playoff picture, how it's slated so far. Eagles ended up wrapping up the number 1 seed with the 49ers getting the number 2 seed against ahead of the Minnesota Vikings, because the Vikings dropped last week to the Green Bay Packers. And then the Buccaneers at 8-9. They're going to be hosting a division round playoff game. And then the Cowboys getting the wild card, the Giants in that 6th spot. And then it's going to come down the Sunday night. Seahawks, Packers. The Packers win, they're in. The Lions win, then the Seahawks win. But I do want to bring on Marshall Green. He is our host of Giants Now here at Chat Sports. And Marsh, if I had to ask you, number 1 matchup that you're looking forward to in this game, position versus position, who would it be?
So I'm really looking at 2. The one I'm looking at the most is probably the Giants' defensive line versus the Vikings' offensive line.
Yep.
As Vikings fans know, their offensive line is a little beat up. I think the Giants' strongest positional group is the defensive line with Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari, Dexter Lawrence, and Leonard Williams. I think those guys can wreck this game. I thought that the Vikings did a pretty good job on the Giants' pass rush back in Week 16, but I think it all comes down to Adoree Jackson versus Justin Jefferson. Last time the Giants played the Vikings, they didn't have Adoree Jackson. They didn't have Xavier McKinney. You're getting back arguably your best 2 secondary players.
Yep.
Vikings put up 27 points last time. The Giants fumbled in the red zone. Daniel Bellinger, Daniel Jones threw an interception. Giants had a punt block, and it came down to a 61-yard field goal. I think it's once again going to come down to the wire, but I'm definitely looking at that O-line, D-line matchup, and then Justin Jefferson versus Adoree Jackson.
So speaking about Jefferson, you're assuming obviously Adoree will probably try to shadow him a little bit, probably get some safety help over the top. How are the Giants' second and third corners? How do you think they're going to fare against a guy like Adam Thielen or KJ Osborne?
So they're not really name-worthy guys. You got Fabian Morrow, you got Darnay Holmes in the slot, you got Nick McLeod, but I think the Giants' strength outside their defensive line on the defense is their top half of the secondary. And what I mean by that is their safeties. You got Xavier McKinney, you got Julian Love, you got Dane Belton. You're also going to see a little Landon Collins play in the box as a linebacker spot. You'll see other players step in, Jason Pinnock. You also see Tony Jefferson. The Giants' secondary and defense has kind of been clicking as of late. I mean, they only gave up 22 points against the Eagles, 10 against Indianapolis, 27 against Minnesota, like I said, where the Giants lost the turnover battle. They gave up 12 against Washington. So since week 15, you've only given up more than 20 points twice. It's going to come down to, I think, the trenches in this game. If the Vikings offensive line is able to keep the defensive line of the Giants off of Kirk Cousins, they're going to have a little more success than, unfortunately, I would like.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think a lot of the Vikings kind of, I guess, what they didn't show the Giants back in week 16 would be Irv Smith Jr. And Irv Smith Jr., he hopped in there today. He had a couple key catches against the Bears. But I'm really excited to see the Vikings hit that 21 personnel where it's Irv Smith Jr., TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen with probably Dalvin Cook in the backfield. I think they're going to need to go to that position group or that personnel group in a lot, mainly just to help out Oli Udoh, who is slated right now to be the starting right tackle. That's what I would do. I would have Irv Smith maybe help on that side, and it could be a little wrinkle that the Vikings have not shown a lot of the teams in the NFL on film. But I want you guys to get down in the comments and predict the score of the game. Marsh in his Giants preview, he had the Giants winning 31-28. I'm kind of leaning towards a higher score gain in the upper 20s. I'm going to go right now. I'm going to go 27-21 Vikings. I think it's going to be close down the stretch, and I think maybe it will take a Vikings game-winning touchdown down 21-20. They go and get 7 down in the last couple minutes of that game. But predict the score in the comments below. Today's show is sponsored by BetUS, our proud sportsbook sponsor this entire NFL season, and they have been holding it down. And if you want to go bet on the Vikings versus the Giants, go do so with BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet, and if you use promo code chat125, you get a 125% deposit bonus when you sign up. Like I said, go to chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125. Now, we do want to mention the quarterbacks in this matchup today. Kirk Cousins coming in here with 4,500 yards on the year, 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and in one of his better years in the league. And then you have Daniel Jones coming in, 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, and that 5 interceptions is what I want to highlight. He is not the type of dude that is going to turn this ball over and just kind of give the Vikings free possessions like he did with throwing that Pat Pete interception when they played in Week 16. But I do want to throw this graphic up because these are the 4 guys on the Giants defensive line that all Vikings fans should know, and they should have these guys' name memorized coming into this game. Vikings, Giants. Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and Azeez Ojulari. These 4 have a chance to totally game wreck this game, and I think they have a good shot. And overall, I think this game is going to come down to which quarterback is the most comfortable. I think in a vacuum, I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. I think if you're just looking on paper, I would take Kirk over Daniel Jones. If you're looking at the offensive line for the Vikings against that defensive line group for the Giants, they have a chance to make Kirk Cousins extremely uncomfortable. And I think Daniel Jones with Andrew Thomas, I understand Evan Neal, the right tackle, has had an up and down year. But I trust the Giants defensive line more to get pressure than I do the Vikings defensive line. That's where I think this game is going to be won. Because like we mentioned before, Brian O'Neill, he's out for the year. Austin Schlottman, our backup center, who is filling in for Garrett Bradbury with that back injury, he is out for the year. We could be looking at a situation where it's Chris Reed and Oli Udoh and Ed Ingram on the right side of our offensive line, and it could make it really tough on Kirk Cousins. But let me guys know, this is the question of today's video. Do you trust Kirk Cousins? This has been the question that Vikings fans have been throwing around on Twitter since he signed here. Do you trust Kirk Cousins? Type Y for yes, type N for no. We're going to run through some quick keys to victory here. Number one for the Vikings, really just mentioned it, protect Kirk Cousins. I think it's easier said than done, especially against this defensive line group for the Giants. And then number two, the jersey I'm wearing right now, get the ball in 18's hands. This is the number one difference maker in this entire game. I love Saquon Barkley. I love some of the weapons they have over there in New York, and I love some of the weapons we have here in Minnesota. Nobody is close to number 18. Get the ball in his hands. And then, like I said, pressure Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, you're going to have to make him beat you. You got to sell out on the run. And when you do sell out on the run and you get to those 3rd and longs, get some pressure on him. Be a little more aggressive at Donatel. Fire up some blitzes. Some quick keys to victory for the Giants, though. No turnovers. I mean, I think if the Giants, if they didn't turn the ball over in Week 16 against the Vikes, they most likely win that game. I think that's going to be huge for them. It's going to be huge to see if the Vikings can generate some turnovers against Daniel Jones. Number two for the Giants, their D-line's got to dominate. That is the number one battle I'm looking for, is that Giants D-line versus this Vikings O-line. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And then number three, with how bad this Vikings defense is, I think they have a really good shot to just control this game. If they're able to get Saquon going, 5 yards on 1st down, 3 yards on 2nd, it's a 3rd and short. You can take a shot, take the check down, pick up yards, move the chains. If they're able to control this game, the Vikings are in some trouble. But that's overall preview, guys. Don't jinx us. Go down there and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. This is it. This is the playoffs. The playoffs are here. Vikings, Giants, wild card weekend, 3 versus 6. It's going to be exciting. If you guys haven't already, subscribe now. I'll see you guys next time. Skol Vikes.